We never make segues.
Segue! There we go.
There it is.
We did
that's what we're doing. We're just going segue and moving straight in.
I don't know. You're the editor. It's up to you. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. And Josh is writing a segue, so, you know.
The audio only people really miss out on your mime game.
They do. They really do. They should subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hi, friends.
Hello, puppets.
Howdy, y'all.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd.
And I'm Josh Gosdin, and reproductive rights are human rights.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
We live in countries where that isn't really a question.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I agree, but haven't had to have that fight in quite some time.
You just said the sky is blue.
You'd be surprised how many people disagree about the color of the sky.
But we support you, Josh. We support you. And all the people there. You keep up the good fight. Keep on keeping on.
So we are here to talk about the penultimate episode of Farscape Season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
Liars, Guns, and Money, Part 3, Plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Liars, Guns, and Money, Chapter 3, Plan B, was written by Justin Monjo and directed by Tony Tilsey. When last we left our crew, Moya was badly burned in an effort to save her life. The crew had recruited a group of mercenaries, including Turak the Xiang, Rolf the Vicarian Blood Tracker, Pakesh the Tavloid, and a group of Zenitan pirates. The plan had been to rescue Dargo's son Jothi from Scorpius. But, at the last minute, fearing they couldn't pay the mercenaries, John traded himself for Jothi. And so we begin with John at the Shadow Depository in the eager hands of a jubilant Scorpius. In the absence of his comfy chair, Scorpius straps John to a big evil exercise ball for a little mental invasion, with Natira playing the nursemaid from hell. Back on Moya, the crew is in disarray, but Erin puts her foot down. They're going to rescue Crichton. End of story. They'll pay the mercs out of the loot from the depository. They're negotiating the details when Pilot interrupts. They have an unexpected visitor. My boy, Grace. Talon has responded to Moya's call for aid. He can provide a transfusion to help her heal. While that's happening, Erin makes an appeal to Grace. Would he help with the rescue? Grace refuses, throwing in her face all that she has said about not using Talon for violence. On Moya, Dargo and Son have a very difficult conversation, and Jothi says he's not coming on the rescue. The rest of the team have a strategy session, led by Stark. But while that's happening, Turek seeks Zahn's help with a little problem regarding his fireball production performance. Back at the depository, Scorpius has gained access to John's mind to confer with Harvey. Assured that he's got access to what he needs, Scorpius paralyzes John from the neck down and calls for his command carrier. On Moya, the team are done with Stark's attempt at strategy and devise a new, simpler plan. Jothi has changed his mind and now is volunteering to go. Erin tries one more time to appeal to Grace for help, to no avail. Well, ready or not, it's go time. They begin with Rolf and Pakesh casing the joint to locate John. But that doesn't go so well, and Rolf is captured. At first, he resists interrogation, but breaks when Natira takes one of his eyes. But it's too late to thwart the plan, as the cavalry has arrived, and it's Moya flying low and taking out every window. Dargo takes charge. Jothi and Rigel will stay with the shuttle, and Turak, Zahn, and Stark will head for the generator. He, Erin, and Pakesh will storm the place and make their way to John. At first, things aren't going so badly. The generator team is almost stalled, but Turek sacrifices himself in a blast of glory, taking out the generator. Then we come to the betrayal portion of our festivities, beginning with Natira turning on Scorpius, freeing John and Rolf on John's promise of escape. Then the Zenitan pirates turn the flax on Moya and Rigel's transport pod instead of saving it for future pursuers. And finally, Natira takes another turn, leaving John caught under the spell of his neural chip and Rolf bleeding out on the floor. For a moment, it looks like all is lost, and John will allow himself to be recaptured. But it's time for some big damn heroics. Aaron, Dargo, and Bakesh arrive at John's side with the big guns, and Talon has another big gun as he comes to his mother's aid, killing the pirates. Except for one that Shiana has to deal with. The tide has well and truly turned, and Aaron has an exit plan. Rigel and Jothi will rescue what's left of Team Generator, and Talon will set up to blow the place to hell. And the rest of them, they can follow her. Where? Into the vault. Scorpius follows them, but can do nothing but watch as they seal themselves in, and hell rains down. Sometime later, after they've been picked up, Rigel is enjoying the plunder from the depository. He wants Shiana to join in the fun with him, but she's really not in the mood. Aaron catches up with Krace, who says that Talon made his own choice, and whatever they try to do, he is a warrior. And finally, in John's quarters, Dargo tries to introduce his son to his best friend, but John is losing himself, and all he can do is beg his friend to end his suffering. Thoughts?
This whole trilogy has been a lot of fun, and I really like this one. I think this was a great way to sort of cap off the trilogy. I've got some things to say about certain parts. Obviously, that's what we're here to do. And yeah, you know, if I was forced to rank each episode of this trilogy, I think this would be my least favorite. But only if I had to pick one. It doesn't mean that I didn't like it. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I just think it was a good episode. Yeah, liked it.
I had a lot of fun with it. I also enjoyed this episode, and I really enjoyed this trilogy. I think one thing that I really enjoyed about this episode was how much action there was. Farscape has done a really good job these last two seasons of not over actionizing everything.
But this was balls to the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a shootout every episode. There's not a whole lot of space battles, largely because of a creative decision that I really appreciate, not to give Moya guns. Mostly. There's a couple of exceptions here and there, but so when they do have to do this kind of action stuff, it actually heightens the tension and heightens the impact of it in a way that I really appreciated this episode. Like when, Dargo and Aaron and the tabloid.
Tavlek.
Thank you. Burst through the door and are just like, zup, 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 everything. Like that was like on the edge of my seat. Like, oh yeah, here we go. So excellent conclusion.
And you can see that.
Trilogy.
You can see Josh's reaction because we recorded a reaction to this episode because I thought it would be a lot of fun to watch the big damn heroics.
Mm-hmm. And you were right.
Yes, and I think Tony Tilsey did a remarkable job with the editing in this. Just like there are some really smart uses of like really smart choices to make the most of the budget. I think the malfunctioning night vision gives us Aaron's perspective, and it means we don't have to realistically see the fight, but we experience it, and it puts us right in her perspective without actually having to have great pyrotechnics and all that. We get flashes and we get smoke, and it just is remarkable use of budget.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, the action was really good. But for some reason, I felt the stakes more in the previous two episodes. I don't know. Something about this just felt more, I guess, especially in the last episode, it was more, there was more like precision to it. This was just blast the fuck out of everything and get out of there, which makes sense. But yeah, still was really, really great though. I mean, like we got a couple of people with the sacrifice play. The Tabloid blows himself. No, sorry, was that? No. What's his name? Turak. That's it. Yeah. He blows himself up. Yeah. It was like there were lots of moments where I'm like, whoa, like hell yeah, that was awesome. But I just felt, I guess I felt more tension in the previous episodes.
Yeah, sometimes the build up is better than the.
Yes, that's basically what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's a challenge, or it can be a challenge, to put your main character in mortal danger and have that be the stake for the episode.
Yeah, because you know it's not going to happen. Yeah,
John wasn't going to stay a statue. John isn't going to stay chained to the yoga ball. Like he's going to be rescued. Whereas in the previous episodes, it was Dargo's son. It was Jothi, who isn't in the opening credits and all that kind of. So there's more real fear, I guess, for the audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you know your main character is going to survive because he's your main character, there's only so much jeopardy that really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I agree. The stakes felt a little less dire this episode, but made up for by the performances and the psychology of it all, and really liked the journey into John's mind that we did a couple of times.
Yeah, that stuff was great. Yeah,
that was the balance for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So where shall we start?
I don't know. There's a lot going on in this episode, so I have no idea.
Well, we have the reappearance of Grace, which is something that you, Josh, said you wanted.
I want it, yeah, because they went back and grabbed everybody else from the first season. So I was really glad when Chris showed up.
Were you expecting it?
I wasn't actually. I didn't think that we were going to get Grace until the finale.
I really loved the question of ethics and hypocrisy brought up between Aaron and Grace during the conversation that they had. The whole thing about Talon having weapons and how the crew have been against Talon using them, but as soon as it's for their cause, or one of them is in danger, it's like, oh yeah, maybe you should, come on, bang bang bang, let's go blow shit up, and it's like, and look, it's a tough one that I could be swayed in the side of, but I think I agree with Grace. I think I do.
Yeah, I was kind of on Grace's side in this one too, and especially in the way that he called out Aaron's attempt to justify the violence.
Mm-hmm.
And they reminded me of a really good episode from another favorite show of mine called Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the characters meet a totally neutral pacifist, basically, but who is also a keeper and a collector of knowledge and refuses to share his knowledge with anybody who has hostile, violent, or warlike intentions. Because he's like, you'll use my knowledge to kill. And the main characters try to convince him that, like, they're trying to save the world. And he says, humans always believe their war is justified.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this was very much the same kind of argument between Grace and Aaron, and I loved it.
Yeah, I love putting the voice of pacifism, etc., in the mouth, mm-hmm. in the megalomania.
Yeah, that's great, isn't
it? Yeah, like I don't think Chris is actually a pacifist. I don't think he gives that much of a shit.
No. Oh no.
Really enjoying pointing out Aaron's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just really. it's a really interesting conversation surrounding ethics and hypocrisy. And I wish the show spent more time on it, but I get it. It's a 46-minute show, and
Sure.
and I got to stop comparing everything to Buffy and just, just enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, it was just, I really, really enjoyed that. It's an interesting conversation, and it's not the most original, like this conversation has come up in like many different shows, movies, books, whatever. Like it's a very common thing, but I thought this was an interesting take on it. Given it's a living ship with weapons, and this ship also kind of has free will, but also has a commander. And I don't know. It's just, it was interesting.
Yeah, he decides for himself in the end. He chooses violence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I choose violence.
and he chooses protection.
Mm.
He doesn't intervene until Moya herself is directly threatened. He could give a damn about the rest of the crew. So far.
Which makes sense. Yeah. And did I mishear? But does Pilot refer to Talon as she at one point? I swear to God.
I think that's a mishearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
It was during one of the exposition things. It was I think it was when Talon first shows up. He says something like Talon is here. She heard Moya's distress call or something like that. I don't know. I guess I heard it wrong.
Yeah, no, she put out the distress call that he was answering.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah. Which, interestingly enough, is the first time that Lani Tupu has a conversation with himself.
I like that.
Despite playing two characters, this is the first time they've interacted like this. Yes. So yeah, it's a fascinating. I love the Grace and Aaron scenes. And
really, 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 really good stuff. Yeah.
I love the Grace and Aaron scenes. I did, and unless I misread this scene, except for where she seems to offer herself, like her sexual self.
That was weird because I didn't get any confirmation from her, really. I don't know.
Like, you can do anything. And he was like, anything? And she goes, you can do anything. And am I reading that right?
I won't stop you.
Yeah.
It is a very specific set of words.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like you can take what you want and I won't stop you. And we have to remember what is the peacekeeper attitude to sex and relationships and all of that.
Oh yeah, that it's just sex. Like it's not
procreative.
Yeah. Like it's so she has no interest in this, but she knows what he wants. And I think it's an indication of where she is, that she's just like, I need the help for John. And like
she's desperate,
like,
unquestionably.
She's not in her body.
Yeah.
It like I feel like a lot of this, she is like maybe Erin in this episode is fascinating, but I think like she's not really herself for a lot of this. She is just running on getting her boy back.
Yeah.
And so I think like she has no connection, like she's so physically disconnected in that moment. She is not offering to sleep with him.
Because this thing, she doesn't really emote.
She's saying that she won't stop him from using her body.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a very different thing than offering herself.
But for me, because her expression was quite blank, I was wondering if she was thinking along the lines of like, sure, I'll let you think that, but once you come near me, I'm going to break it off and shove it in your eye. You know, like I don't know.
I don't know. That's possible too, but I think of it. It's very much like I think she means it when she says, "You can I won't stop you." It's not an offer of sex.
Yeah.
that's not consent.
Yeah.
But
Right,
it
yeah, of
is,
course.
but
No,
it
no,
is,
no, I'm not
it's, but
implying
it's
that
sort
at
of,
all. No, that's not what I meant. Yeah.
but it sort of is on another, and
It's transactional, is what
yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
that's so like from a writing standpoint, that was a bold choice, uncomfortable choice at the very least.
yeah, I just wish it was more clear one way or the other. I don't think it was extremely clear. I don't know. There was just something weird about it for me.
Oh, to me, it felt very clear.
Okay.
I think like it's really interesting ethical moment and really tells us about Grace that he's just like that he's not taking her up on that.
So he didn't take her up on that. Is what I'm understanding then, because it cuts away.
It cuts away, but like I don't think.
I think
read
he
him
was
as
just proposing it. Yeah, I think he was proposing it more or less to see how far she would go. Like he wanted to try and like test her, I guess.
I think he was checking if that's what she was saying.
Yeah, because he didn't like. There was no like he didn't move like closer and start touching her, and she didn't like, or she didn't move closer or anything. That's why it was a little unclear for me. Like there was no
they leave it ambiguous, but
it was ambiguous.
I think it's a question of how you read Grace, and I think that makes it interesting.
Well, they left it ambiguous. They cut away after she said that a second time, and the next time you see her, she looks miserable. And so I read it as they went through with it, because then also Grace and Talon show up later. And so then I was confused also, because Grace was like, no, Talon came to Moya's rescue. Like it wasn't Grace there. Like Grace didn't direct the attack. Talon directed the attack.
Right. Yeah. And I think
it was just an icky moment that I didn't like. I wasn't comfortable with it. And from a writing perspective, it feels so reductive to Erin's character, down to her, like the best that she can offer is her body to Grace, and I don't know, it was very out of left field for her character for me as well. I didn't like it, didn't see it coming. It felt very transactional in the way that a prostitute consents to having sexual intercourse with somebody. So it was consensual. It was a consensual moment in that regard, but not in an enthusiastic, ongoing. Yeah. This was an act of desperation.
Transactional is just
in the way that.
So you don't think it was an act of desperation? You think it was something else, or
no? I do think it was an act of desperation.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, I just
that almost knocked me out of the whole episode. That whole moment did. Wasn't a fan.
I think she very much like she loves John, and she desperately wants to get him back, and she will do.
She does
whatever it takes. And I think a big part of Erin, she believed Grace when he said that John was already dead, but she has to know for herself, and she doesn't want to give up hope. There's this slight sliver of a chance that he's still alive, and she's willing to take it and see if she can go and save him. And I like that too. I really do.
I find it narratively interesting as in her character that I see her disassociating throughout much of this episode.
Yes. Okay.
And
yeah,
so,
I like that.
Like the very clear, like she's not offering to participate under any transactional thing, and is just like she's willing to give whatever it takes. And I don't know. I given that he doesn't choose to come back.
Right. Talon does.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I find it an interesting I find it an interesting moment. And yeah, it's a very dark place for the writing to go.
Very dark.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I find it interesting. So anyway, about Aaron and the rest of this episode, maybe. Like,
someone else want to
he's on quite a journey.
The return of Aaron Ripley.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. With the big gun. I was a big fan of that. I'm always a big fan of action Aaron for sure.
She's the biggest badass on the crew. Like hands down.
Most consistently,
down. Yeah. And it made sense for her to take charge too and lead the attack.
And then I also like the moment where John was crumbling under the chip and the torture, and Scorpius standing across the hallway going, "Come here, Josh." When Aaron just turned around, Josh. What did I say?
He said, Josh.
He said, "Come here, Josh." You're getting a bit too into it, buddy.
You have your own Harvey.
He's in my head. Sorry, he's in my head. Daisy.
Frell that.
Frell that.
No, when Aaron knocks John out and is very much like, all right, we're not gonna walk out of here. Clearly, somebody's getting carried, and it's you.
Yeah.
God, Ben Browder's performance in like the last 15 minutes was incredible. Loved it. He does zany so well, like unhinged zaniness so well.
Mm-hmm. No, I really, particularly, I enjoyed the interaction, especially so much of it non-verbal between Aaron and Dargo, because like she is checked out in a lot of ways for a lot of this episode, and he steps up and he does most of the planning until they have John back, even though like it's clearly he's taking directions from her. There's like there is some working together there, and they're on this like simpatico place, and then she takes the active leadership back when they have John. And he's doing the talking, even though like the push is coming from, like they're just working together so well, and it's great to see.
I think so too. Yeah,
it's very it's one of my favorite aspects of their relationship is how well they work together, and how well they understand each other and can play off of each other and support each other. Because she's definitely taking the lead in wrangling, making sure that the whole damn thing doesn't fall apart before they even get started.
Yep.
Wrangling the mercenaries there at the beginning. But yeah, no, I like it felt very brother sister this episode between the two of them.
And then Pikesh was there as the comic relief.
Yeah, he was fun.
And Dargo got a new gun. Which apparently the crew named Mr. Sparky.
I like that.
Anything? Do we want to move to Dargo and Joffy?
Sure.
Yes. I wasn't feeling that scene. The scene between them when Joffy goes all pissed off teenager, it was your fault, blah blah blah. That felt like conflict for the sake of conflict.
Yeah.
And then they nullify it like 5 minutes later. So I'm like, cool, all right, like whatever. I don't know. It was so cliche and tropey, and I didn't like it.
And it didn't quite flow from, I know it wasn't your fault at the end of the second part, which I think I remember commenting on of like, oh, thank God they're not going to do that. Well, then they did it.
Yeah.
But not in a way that really flowed well, or I agree with you, made like good character sense.
Yeah.
And then they also waffled a little bit where Jothi was like, I'm not going to help with this rescue.
Yeah.
And then later on, Jothi's like, hey, I'm cool, actually. I'll help with the rescue. And Dargo's like, I can't help with the rescue. And I was like,
yeah.
What were we arguing about earlier?
yeah. Like the whole conversation irked me, especially Jothi blaming Dargo. But I mean, I've seen Dargo's perspective. Jothi hasn't, so I guess. But still, it just didn't feel right. It felt like conflict for the sake of conflict, and I didn't like that.
I'm conflicted because there's interesting stuff there, but I'm not sure if it's that the writing needed more of another pass, or if the actor isn't up to it.
Matt Newton. Yeah, okay.
Having not seen Matt Newton in anything else. Hi, folks. Editing Sara here. So, Past Me is about to screw up and drop a spoiler for the next episode. If you want to remain unspoiled for that, skip ahead 60 seconds, or you can enjoy my embarrassment and them laughing at me. Because there's some really interesting stuff there, the stuff that we see visually of him having tried to destroy the Luxon parts of himself.
And actually, he did. His delivery was quite muted, wasn't it? Now you mention it, it was.
Because we've got tentacles cut and his nose cut, and he said that he did this himself.
He did? I missed that. I didn't realize it was self-mutilation.
Have they not had that conversation?
Actually, yeah, no, I don't think. Actually, no. Come think that I don't recall that either. Dun dun dun.
I assumed it was part of his torture.
I assumed he was harmed.
Sara has done,
and he was blaming. I thought he was tortured, and he was blaming Dargo for getting tortured. Yeah,
Sara has done so good on not spoiling anything. This is literally the first time
we've been doing this 2 years, and this is the first time you've done it.
Spoiled something.
I mean, I commend you. That's a hell of an effort. Yeah,
right. So the subtext that they're playing with, they have not. They are playing with before they've explored it. Right. Yeah. Okay. So in retrospect, this scene may make a bit more sense.
Okay.
I look forward to finally learning what happened to Jothi.
I still don't. I still feel like it's going to irk me though. I don't know, because it's not Dargo's fault. It's just not. I don't care what Jothi says.
But I get the whole teen angsty feelings, and I've been a mixed race teen trying to figure myself out.
Yeah.
So I think there's a there, but I'm not sure if the writing is getting to it, and I'm not sure if the performance is reaching it, and it's just kind of
it's a little unearned. I think
that's the word for it.
Yeah,
I think maybe they're trying to hit on stuff there isn't room enough in the episode.
Mm-hmm,
so it's just yeah.
Yeah, it's unearned, and if you're going to do something like that, you can't just drop it on us. You have to show us. You have to build up to it.
You also can't bounce off of it the way they did this episode.
Yeah, just nah, it's cool. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
it's. I mean, it's. And maybe you're right, Sara. Maybe it has something to do with a shallow performance or shallow writing, because it's not. It doesn't feel like Jothi is conflicted. It feels like the writing and the acting doesn't agree with what we're seeing on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Jothi doesn't seem conflicted. The script seems conflicted.
Yeah. And I think there's something there. I think it's interesting that, he doesn't want to commit, but then does. And then when he does, and that, Dargo is going back and forth between being protective and wanting to, but it doesn't get there.
No.
I think there's a there, but it doesn't get there.
If
that makes sense.
Back on it being unearned a little bit in a way.
And there's also just when you bring in a teenager out of nowhere, and teenagers are always if not in reality, certainly on TV, are always angsty.
Get out, get out, get out.
Yeah.
It can be a little jarring. Yeah.
Especially when they come out of nowhere. Yep.
Yeah, he isn't made by monks, but he did kind of come out of nowhere and he's an angsty teen.
Yeah.
And he has reason to, I mean, he's got a very dark backstory, but
he's got reason to be, but we haven't seen any of that.
He's got reason to be traumatized. Angsty and traumatized are not the same things. And so I feel like they're giving him trauma dialogue, but having him play it angsty.
Oh, I like that. That's nail on the head. Wow. Yeah, I like that.
Then it's unearned, like you said earlier. So I think it's conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
And like when he popped up later and he was like, "Father, I'm willing to help," and Dargo was like, "You can't help." Then I was just kind of like, "What?"
Yeah, like, do you not remember that was like?
Or you can help a little bit. You guard the shuttle.
Yeah. Like even like in like universe time, that was like a couple of hours ago, if that. Like, come on,
like a few microns.
Yeah. Dargo seemed to have a bit of amnesia there. Like, I
liked Dargo this episode. I liked what seemed like him trying to make up for how he treated John. That was good. I wanted more between Dargo and John, and the we've still got a whole nother episode. To kind of put a coda on this season, it seems like is the approach they're taking. Because that last scene between Dargo and John, just at the very end, wasn't enough for me as a fan, but not in a bad way, in a good way. I want more of these characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of an episode of two halves, and a lot of the planning is a bit half-baked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we're talking about half-baked planning.
So there's a segue.
We're going to be on a silent couch.
How will we know?
That's a terrible idea, come to think of it, because that was a terrible idea because there was too many moving parts. Like, you can't. I don't know.
It's a terrible idea. I think we've established Stark is not who you have planning. And I don't think anybody who was the brains of the operation intended for Stark to be the planning.
Freaking
I think
Stark,
that was
man.
Stark babysit the mercs.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know how I feel about Stark, man. Like, I've still got a lot of empathy for him. He's a really tragic character, and Paul Goddard, wonderful performance. I really, really love it. I just feel like he's going to unwittingly lead everybody to their demise. And like Rolf even says at one point, he has the spirit of a hunter, not the prey. And I'm like, dude, where have you been? Like, this is
he does not.
What are you talking about? He's got the spirit of an unhinged madman.
It's Rolf talking.
Well, yeah, okay, good point. Yeah, but like, I really think Stark needs to like take some time out, practice self-care, maybe speak to a therapist. That's what Stark needs. He doesn't need to go into battle. Like, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But he interrupted the tension.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but he's just not fit to be dealing with anything happening right now.
My side, your side, bada. Yeah.
I don't know. I still love the character, but I'm like, where is this gonna go? This isn't gonna lead to something good.
I'll tell you what interrupted the tension is Rigel piloting the shuttle with Durka's head on the countertop next to him. There's that totally uncommented on pan over.
That's right. There's no acknowledgement. That makes it so much weirder for me.
There was acknowledgement. Remember, Rolf? I think it was Rolf again asked, "Why are you carrying?"
Oh yeah,
or was it
that's
Prakash?
right.
Yeah.
What does he say? Rigel says something. I forget what he says, but yeah.
He's an old enemy. I like that he doesn't talk back.
Yeah, that's it. But
which was cool. And again, the Dominar being intimidating and in a lot of ways, Rigel keeping everybody in line for Aaron and Dargo, which that's a dynamic, and I'm down for it. But imagine, if you will, as I'm pacing the fuse of a church corridor, and Rigel's just been walking around, floating around with this head, and he brought this head and he put this head, and nobody said anything.
That thing's got to be stinking by now too. Like
until one of the mercenaries was like, "Why did you bring a decomposing severed head?"
Look,
they have other things to think about.
I've now accepted what went down with Durka, even though I feel like it was such an unceremonious way to cap that off. But I mean, talk about unearned. Rigel walking around with a severed head. I'm sorry, we haven't had any setup for this kind of darkness. We haven't. I'm sorry. This is.
It.
Oh, I think we've had setup that Dargo doesn't, that Rigel doesn't give a shit.
He's the Dominar. He's Dominar 16. Look, he's carried around his enemies before, I'm sure.
We've seen him be selfish. We've seen him be greedy. We've seen him be gross. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. Where did this come from? Look, I love it too because I think it's hilariously weird and just like fucking batshit. Like, but I'm just like, I haven't seen this Rigel. Like, this is literally the first time we're seeing this. I feel like anyway.
I've been ranting and raving about the Dominar since
Dominatrix.
Yeah. Since we started this trilogy, though. But like, this is the payoff to all of his season 1 bluster about ruling an empire.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I'm very satisfied with it.
Because in order to rule an empire, you've got to be pretty ruthless at times. So,
yeah. And he's mentioned he survived assassination attempts and his cousin dethroned him and all that kind of stuff. But I'm still just like Sara, I've had a very busy day at work too. But I feel like if one of my coworkers was carrying the severed head of his or her enemy to a meeting,
you'd be like, hang on.
I'd take some time to unpack that.
Yeah, if you had as busy a day as
Grant, I don't work in the same kind of office environment.
I swear to God, if you still got it next episode, holy shit.
I wanted to have it now.
Holy shit.
If it was anyone other than Durka or possibly your favorite guy, Josh, like if it wasn't a character who was a prima donna, I don't think it would work. Maldus. Yeah, I think it would have. It has to be Durka or Maldus, to work because Durka was such a prima donna that I.
Rigel's certainly broken through any kind of trauma and anxiety he had there. That's long gone.
Very down for it.
And I think like I don't know that it's an echo I'd choose, but there is a reflection of the way like Scorpius is treating John's head as a trophy.
Oh, geez. I didn't even connect those dots. Yeah.
I can see that.
That just occurred to me, and I'm like, I don't know that reflection makes narrative sense.
I think it's a complete accident. It's a complete accident.
But I kind of love.
That's pretty impressive. I like that.
You want to know something funny is that I'm on TV Tropes right now because whenever we do a live reaction, I pull up the TV Tropes for that particular episode so that I can make sure I refresh myself on the plot. TV Tropes doesn't even mention the fake head or the severed head. Yeah.
What?
Doesn't mention the severed head.
Nobody mentions this head. No one mentions it. It's just there.
I think it's in the
it's just set dressing. It's just set dressing. That's all it is. I hope we like, I don't know, we get a just like a one small scene of Rigel like kicking it off a cliff, or like letting it go out into space or something, or like eating it.
Okay, well, lovely viewers,
wall.
we would love to hear from you. What do you think that Rigel did with the head in the end?
Or will it show up in
flushed
this episode? Yeah.
It will not show up in the next episode.
See, now you're just spoiling everything, Sara.
Yeah.
You spoiled one thing.
I'm actually genuinely disappointed. It just disappears because, like, what? I'm just so.
I think we need some
thing.
fan fiction on what becomes
of Durka's head.
Hang on a sec. That could go down some really weird paths.
Not naughty fiction. Just we need some fan theories.
Isn't that the point of fan fiction, though? Really, like
not always.
A lot of the time, though.
Yeah. Sometimes it's to explore interesting plot gaps, like what happened to the head.
Sure, Sara.
I'm not really a fan fiction person, but perhaps people in our audience are and can come up with a what happened to Durka's head.
I'd like that. Yeah. Yes, we can head canon it. That would be
or
fun.
maybe like it should be like the gnome in Emily. The head goes traveling around the universe.
I'm genuinely disappointed it's just gone. I really am. Like, I'm really disappointed.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have spoiled. I shouldn't have said anything. But then
right.
You would have spent the whole next episode. No, you're not. You're not going to be thinking about the head in the next episode.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so we have the dominator, the dominatrix, as you call him.
Yes.
And who else should we discuss? Should we discuss the dominatrix, who is helping out on the
Natira? Oh yeah. I really love the part where John says
I really
to her,
love your eyes.
Yeah,
Blue eyes are so special. Shall I do it ASMR?
I think I said this last time, but I've never been so simultaneously terrified and turned on by anyone in my life. It is holy shit. But I do love the part where John says something to her about how Scorpius only loves him for his mind, and how that kind of implies that he's using her and that he doesn't give a shit about her. And then obviously that's when he tells her that he's gonna kill her. I just think that's some good writing, and it's a rather creative way of getting that across and sort of planting the idea in Natira's mind. I really like that. And the spider tendril things are terrifying and sexy, and I don't know how I feel.
I think Scorpy cares a lot about her.
Okay.
I think that violence and sex and love are really warped in Scorpy's head, because Harvey was really enjoying looking at her body and talking about killing her.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that I love that. That's just particularly warped in a really interesting way.
Yep.
Especially with everything he wants to do to John as well.
That's the subtitle of this podcast, particularly warped in a really interesting way.
Please, can we adopt that? I feel like that's my life. That's my life.
It's definitely Farscape, but like, because he talks about what a beautiful creature he is, and to be in possession, and then he talks about killing her. Like, that's not someone you only care about for their body. That's someone you care about in a really twisted way.
I think he cares about her in terms of like the queen on the chessboard. I think he sees her as more of a possession, and I think he cares about that, but not her. I don't know though. I mean, you have context here that we don't, Sara. If
I think that's what Scorpy thinks caring about someone is.
Oh, okay, yep, okay.
Yeah, they have such a warped relationship.
Yeah. It's very warped. That's a good way of putting it.
But they also, it's kind of interesting to see them work together.
It was interesting. I don't know, the big reveal was kind of a reveal to Natira that Scorpius is going to kill her. I feel like, but I also feel like last episode they kind of set up this dynamic of barely holding each other back from killing each other. And so there's probably this element of maybe, well, I could probably make a deal, or I can give him something to keep him from killing me, or something like that. And Harvey being able to be like, no, he's just going to give you. Like that was,
like this has run its course.
The final nail in the coffin for their situationship.
But watch them interrogating Rolf together is interesting.
Yeah. The weird.
And he loses a freaking eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The twist that Scorpius was good cop the whole time. Like that was cool.
Yeah. or less bad cop. I don't know if you could say good cop.
No such creature.
Less unhinged cop. I don't know.
It's all relative, man.
Yeah,
it is.
But yes, this is definitely interesting exchange. And yes,
it's so horrifying. I don't know the tendrils. I don't. I'm quite arachnophobic.
The one that's the same. The one that snaps out in the middle. Yeah. That was something else.
That is a hell of a piece of design, isn't it?
I was
really, really
say,
good.
hats off to the prosthetics work. Absolutely.
It doesn't even like. Obviously, she's in a full body prosthetic, but the way it's done, it doesn't like you don't see it sagging or like jiggling around anywhere. It's really well designed. It's really well fitting. And even just like the fact that she has this like wet, glossy sheen to her really sells it as well. I can't imagine the torture that Claudia Carvin endured for that. Like, holy crap, that would have been bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but what a performance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, terrifying. So scary.
Yeah. And so sexy.
Yeah, that too. Definitely that too.
So what haven't we talked about yet?
John,
yeah. I said last time that I thought John had his own plan B here, and he didn't really. It seems.
No.
He really was just handing himself over. But I also I don't believe for a second that John was dumb enough to think that Scorpius was just going to let him go either. I really don't believe that.
I don't think he really believed that either. I think it was, I mean, especially the way that we see him at the end of the episode, I think he was already on this path towards just put me out of my misery.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's probably what it was. He didn't care. He just wanted it over. So okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that. And just Ben Browder's performance, holy crap, give this man an Emmy. Give him,
as usual.
Like, so good.
As usual, the pathos and the madness and the conflict and the nonverbals and everything, like and the relief on his face when he sees that it's Aaron who came to rescue him. Like,
that was so good.
Yeah,
all of it. I mean, and then at the very end, it's never good when you're quoting 2001: A Space Odyssey when the robot is dying.
Yeah,
like that's the ultimate red flag.
Yep.
John's in a bad place. I don't know where he's going to go.
John's in a bad place, and we'll see next episode where that goes.
Okay, cool. I'm excited for that.
There's one more person we've talked about that I think had a really interesting journey in this episode, and that's Gianna.
Oh, I hated the fake out with the Zaneden part. Let me say that I hated that how they she shoots him and like she's all like, but come on, that's so dumb. I didn't like that fake out.
Yeah, the fake out is dumb, but
it's a cliche for sure.
Yeah.
But her getting herself out of being victimized was good to see.
Yeah.
Although I'd hate that we had to see her damseled again.
Yeah. But I guess I mean, it's not proper damseling though if she saves herself though, is it? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I think it subverts a little bit.
It's that we went to threat of sexual violence for her, which is bit of a go-to. But the interesting thing, I think, is we do see that Gigi takes us on a bit of an emotional journey that we know where the start of the three-parter, we're going to rob a bank. And then the end of this one, she's looking at the treasure and just, and Rigel's like, come on, you're like me, enjoy it. And she's just like, she's not
enjoying it.
Yeah. And I think like she's been a bit of a little piece by piece journey for her through the three parts, but it's
and she's a very she's a tortured and traumatized soul, I think, and I like the way they portrayed that in a sense that she still has a lot of resolve, she hasn't sort of succumbed to it in some ways like Stark has in a way. Stark has been driven mad by everything he's been through, but Chiana's still fighting, and I really like that.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fake out is such a cliche. It's been in so many other movies and TV shows. You don't see the gun, you just hear it, and then both characters react.
It also, it wasn't subtle. It was so over the top. If it was a little more subtle, I'd be fine with it. But she literally pulls a face like she has been shot. Like, come on.
And it's not like she hasn't killed before. She set a guy on fire.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was strictly to make us go, oh no, that feels manipulative. I don't like to be manipulated.
Yeah, I don't make a big deal of it because it was one moment. There was just so much going on.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Yeah, it is just like, really, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just one of those, and we need to get out of this. So we're gonna go to a go-to, and
Act 3s are hard because you have to stick the landing on threads that you set up in Acts 1 and 2 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that I wanted more of an emotional character catharsis between John and Dargo, I wanted more of a connection between Dargo and Chiana in this episode.
Yeah, because they've really drifted apart, and they haven't addressed it at all. Like the show hasn't really addressed it.
They both have gone on very interesting journeys in this three-parter as well. And Chiana is really interesting. Like you were saying, Sara, like moving from the ecstasy of gold to where we land in this episode with her just kind of being really pensive and seemingly not quite sure where she fits. Like an opportunity to have Chiana and Dargo have a moment in this episode, I think would have been nice. And this is not a criticism. This is similar kind of a note as earlier of like, I love these characters and I wanted more as a fan.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the season finale also, hoping that we get an opportunity to have some more of these emotional beats in the season finale.
Yeah, same.
So, is there anything more about this particular episode, or should we look at the three-parter in general?
Just a quick note. I thought that the flyby low pass that Moya does that smashes the windows was freaking cool. That was so cool.
Gorgeous.
Moya as the cavalry.
that was awesome. Freaking badass. I love that.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got much else.
They really got to show off in this episode how effective the crew can be when they work together.
And I think that actually takes us into the 3-parter, because I think it's really interesting in this episode, in this trilogy, we see them, fail to work together and then come together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Everything just sort of like fall apart, but then they pick it all back up and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even in part 2, like the way that they executed the plan, and the way that the folks left behind and Moya collaborated to save Moya and all that kind of stuff. But you're right. So I like that. Reading this, very good, a very good through line there for the crew. I'm thinking about this 3-parter versus the other 3-parter of this season.
I enjoyed this one way more, way more.
There were different flavors. I liked them both very well, because the first one was very. It was a stage play. I mean, we talked about it in our reviews of that episode. It was a stage play, and this one was much more of a heist, a Western.
Yeah. I was fatigued by the first one, but this one I wasn't fatigued by.
This one had a much a pace that I preferred much more. I think the other one's pace was appropriate for what it was.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad. It's just that by the end of it, I was glad it was over, because it was just so much.
I like the relationship aspects of the first one, of the the emotional line of Aaron and John. Whereas this one, I think, is more of a John and Dargo, and it's a different. It's kind of Bolivia, except that they pull it off at the end. It's Butch and Sundance sort of thing, with and a sort of Dargo, John, and Aaron. The very it's the bromance, but also like the Aaron and Dargo bromance as well, and of course Aaron coming in to rescue her boy.
Yeah. And I feel like this one did stick the landing better than the other one, in terms of
absolutely.
The third act.
Yeah. Like in the last one, I really hated that, like, we lost John for like 10 minutes, then he was out in the statue. Like,
and then they sent Aaron off rock climbing. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. This one felt a lot more cohesive, and it was more exciting, and it was just better, I think.
And it's a really interesting way to lead into the season finale, because we have climaxed.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't got a clue. No clue whatsoever.
We've still got a lot. We still got Moya is still hurt.
That's true.
Our Talon and Cray is going to hang around. Our All the Mercenaries going to hang around. Dargo and Joffe.
Yeah, the Joffe stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the mercenaries are gone by the end of the episode.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Only one of them survives.
Yeah, but just in terms of like plot, because this story is done. The bookend is there. So what's going to happen next? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, what is left to resolve?
John
and Dargo and Joffe, really, that's it. There's not much else going on there, I don't think.
And Moya.
Oh, Moya, yeah. Oh, I also that scene where like we see her like innards and everything's like dripping and pussy. That was really effective. That was really like because it's often hard to empathize with the character that isn't animate, but I really felt that. I was like, oh, poor Moya, that was really good.
Really, really feel the living ship in these 3 episodes.
You feel both living ships. You feel the one that is making decisions for himself to be a warrior and violent.
And choose violence.
Yeah, and we have the one who is sacrificing of herself so much they have to sacrifice part of her to save her.
Come to think about it, shit, Moya's been through a lot. So
Moya's
much.
been through a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has.
Trauma and Muppet sex and trauma. Jesus.
Mm.
And yet she's always there for her people.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, always. And yeah, all the time puts herself in the line of fire quite literally to help her people.
One thing in terms of a long-term evolution that I liked that Dargo spoke to Pilot with respect and asked if Moya was up to helping. And it was gentle and kind and respectful. This is the person who used to refer to Pilot as a server.
Oh, yeah.
A servicer, and cut off one of his arms.
Yeah. Yeah,
We'll
I think
go back
Dargo.
Yeah.
Dargo has had a really like transformative arc just in terms of him growing as a character. He's really changed a lot, and because I fully admit, yeah, I talked a lot of shit about the big guy back in the day, like when we first started. But I like who he's become and who he seems to be becoming, I guess.
It's amazing what a little healing will do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he has found his son. This was his.
Yeah, that was his
meaning.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because his wife's dead, right? She's
yes.
Yeah.
He was in prison because
Yeah.
All of our characters have come a long way. We are at the halfway point, basically, of the show.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's 5 seasons.
There's
right?
4 seasons and a TV movie.
Wow. Oh wow. Okay.
So we are just about at the halfway point.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize they did a movie.
Yes, there was supposed to be season 5. It got canceled, and then
so it was like a Firefly thing. They did a movie to finish it off.
Yeah, it was the Firefly thing before Firefly did it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But I think it's interesting to take a beat at the end of this action climax for the season. And when we are essentially at the halfway point.
It's almost like a Restless thing, you know.
Buffy. I wonder if it's going to be like that, or if we're going to get a whole Farscapian kind of a gut punch like they usually do.
Yeah, I don't know because because for example with like Buffy, we have I think it's Primeval and the seasons and arcs done, and then we get Restless. So like, what are they going to do? I don't know.
Yeah,
I do know. Farscape has a tendency to do action climaxes and then a coda.
Oh, okay.
Last season we had the Gamma base, and then we had the Emily episode, and then we had family.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you often finish up by asking us predictions. I haven't got a clue.
Yes,
I mean, because what's the next episode called again?
Dichotomy.
Yeah, see that, and it's DIE, right?
Yes.
Which
good. We're not all going to the salon.
Like, it makes me think that someone's gonna die, but then I feel like that's too obvious for Farscape. Like I feel like that's too obvious. So I don't know. Yeah, Farscape doesn't like to be obvious. Really, it's very subversive like that.
I mean, there's obviously things to address. I don't even know if they're the things that they're going to address, because you can save some of this stuff for next season.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So yes, we will react to Dichotomy, and then we are going to have a little think about the season episode before we watch the first episode of season 1, and I think we might try and react also to the first of season 3. And I think we also might try and react if we can manage to schedule it to the first episode of season 3, because it is also a doozy.
And if you want to see that, you should go to our Patreon.
Yes.
And
that is a Patreon exclusive. And speaking of which, we have a new Patreon this month.
Hey!
Oh, welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome aboard, Moya.
Welcome, Anna Jurdadon. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right,
Hi,
but
Anna.
welcome, Anna.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And they sent a message with connecting to some art that we'll look at in the season, in the inter-season thing as well.
Ooh,
Okay.
I love fan art.
Yeah.
And we have a comment on Won't Get Fooled Again.
Oh.
From Ren the Barbarian.
Ren the Barbarian, the YouTuber?
Well, yes, it is Ren the Barbarian, the YouTuber.
We love Ren.
We love Ren. I think what makes the two girls kissing thing not feel icky and objectifying is that A, the whole thing is very queer with John, Aaron, Dargo, Chiana, Polycule, and B, it's the episode using the trope to make fun of the trope. The episode is fully aware of what it's doing.
I like that.
Yeah, so I like that.
Good queer reading, Ren.
That's a good take, yeah.
Paul Lee Tao says he's so excited for this week's episode. This 3-parter is one of his favorites.
Oh, cool. Cool.
I can see why.
Well, I hope we lived up to your expectations. I hope you've had fun with us.
And they also I'm not sure if they're of their pronouns, but they also said thinking on Crichton's mania, and I've never really connected it solely to Harvey being installed. Obviously it is, but I also really like the interpretation that it's due to like massive amounts of trauma.
Yes.
Like if I was plucked out of my world and thrust into this situation and gone through all that John has, I can't say I would be entirely different.
Yeah, like some like space dementia or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, every single episode so far that he gets tortured. Not only that, has he been living in constant state of survival, he hasn't been in a safe environment since he left Earth. And now not even his mind is safe. Like Harvey can kill him at will, take away his autonomy, free will, and mess with his memories. So, and then they talk a little bit about some experience that I won't share, but yeah.
Okay.
And spoilers, but yes. I think that's an interesting take on John's mania.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, there's a lot going on for poor John.
I don't know if I made this comparison out loud or not, but it definitely smacks of Mel Gibson in the first Lethal Weapon.
I don't watch Mel Gibson movies.
The mania.
It's been a long time.
The mania of being also used for comedy. The mania from trauma being also used for comedy.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, you gotta laugh to survive.
Amen to that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your favorite part?
Well, I was going to say that my favorite part is Aaron. I'm going to go to Scorpius. Throw you are boom. I love Ben Browder's performance throughout the whole like back half of the episode, as I said. But honestly, I'm going to give it to the very last scene where he's like, "Dargo, kill me." It's not a good moment. Like it's terrible, but I love the performance there, and I just love that it hits like a sledgehammer, and I think it's amazing. Really, really good.
See, I'm actually going to give it to the Frill You Are. Bah! That's their relationship in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love them, Aaron and Dargo being big damn heroes, with Pakesh being the jokey sidekick.
Comic relief.
For not being able to see, you did okay.
Yeah, that was
there's
great.
Like a field.
Yeah.
And them just busting in as big damn heroes. Just
badass. Yeah.
So Yeah, it's a damn good set of episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good. Really
ton of
good.
fun and lots of great stuff going on. Yeah. Had a good time.
So, we're one episode away from the end of season 2, and we will see you. Those of you who aren't patrons, we'll see you in 2 weeks for Diamond Dichotomy, and those of you who are will be able to see our reaction to the episode we've just discussed.
And if you want to be a paid patron, you know where to go.
Yep. Yep. We have a $1 tier, a $3 tier, and a $5 tier, I think.
There you go. Lots of options.
Let me double check that.
Best YouTubers ever.
We're doing great, guys.
We're good at this. Yeah, I was right. $1 tier, $3 tier, and $5 tier.
Cool.
$1 tier, you are Rigel's subject. $3, you're Dargo's warriors. And $5, you're Zon's cleric. And if anyone wants to be a $10, we will come up with someone to name you after.
Lots of options there.
Yeah. If you want to give us more money, we'll find a way to let you give us more money.
Yeah, of course we will. We got you, fam.
Maybe Chiana needs I don't know what we would call Chiana's people.
You know what? No, Jack. No.
So close, Jack.
Okay. So where can people find you?
Well, Sara, you can find me on Twitter at Lack of Surprise 1. That's all one word with the number 1 at the end. You can find me over on our Discord server, Howdy Poppets. You can also find me over on Instagram at Jack Kramme, all one word, lowercase. Josh, what about you, sir?
Oh no, there's one more place.
Oh yeah, I'm now on Blue Sky. Thanks to Sara. I think I'm lack of surprise there. I think it's just lack of surprise.
We'll put it in the doobly-doo.
I've logged in like 3 times, but go follow me there if you want to, Josh.
Blue sky, nothing but. So I'm over on Instagram.
I love this band.
All lowercase, Josh Gosdin. That's me.
Yeah, for really, food and self-care.
If you just want to come hang out, like we're just having a good time over there. Sorry.
Well, you can't have a good time on Twitter these days, but I'm still there. And I will still call it Twitter. I'm not going to call it X.
Is that what they're going for? I wasn't sure. Oh, God.
That's what he's done.
Oh, X. How unimaginative. But this is coming from a guy who named his kid after a plane or something. So
he's tried to name like a bunch of things X. He is a strange little man. I wonder if someone will carry his head around on a pike someday.
Wow. Holy shit. Wow. That escalated quickly. Holy shit.
Or if he would do the same, or if he would do the head pike carrying. Is he Rigel or is he Durka?
Both.
I am joking, and I'm not sure if I'll leave that in because a friend of mine got banned for making a joke about guillotines.
He's Rurka. Yeah.
Anyway, I have a YouTube channel called The Fat Culture Critic.
You do.
And yes, I am also on Twitter, The Bad Place, and on Blue Sky, although I also don't post there as much as I know. And yeah, we will, all the links to all the places will be in the doobly-doo, as well as the ones for the podcast itself.
Hoot. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, friends. We love you.
Bye, y'all.
Is that the Jeopardy music?
Yeah, it is.